Hey, it's Mr. Keys, and today we're going to dive into the world of syncopation. What the heck is syncopation? Well, I'm glad you asked. Syncopation occurs when notes that are played off beat are stressed. Stressed? Yes, stressed. Now, that doesn't mean that they're under a lot of pressure because they got a big test that they got to study for tomorrow. It refers to an importance or a focus being placed on those notes. Another way to say this is that the notes are accented on the offbeat. One of my music profs at the University of Toronto, who specialized in researching popular music, categorized pop music as everything outside of world music and jazz. So it's really an umbrella term for many different subgenres such as hip-hop, rock, EDM, country, etc. This is where we start to create the rhythms that are common in many pop subgenres. That's not to say that these rhythms don't occur in non-pop music genres, because they do. But our focus will be pop music as a whole. In 4/4 time, we feel things that happen on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are our beats. At first, syncopation can be very strange and hard to feel because it forces you to play and feel things off of the beat. We'll use the following symbol. It looks like a greater than sign. And this is a whole note. So this is an accented whole note. This is an accent sign. If we're looking at half notes that are accented, they look like that. Chord notes that are accented look like that. And 8th notes that are accented look like that. If we have two 8th notes together, we might have one that's non-accented and one that's accented. I'll tap out some examples of syncopated rhythms on the piano. Let's take a look at the first one. So we're in 4/4 time, and we're going to use 8th notes for our pattern. And it's just going to be a 1-bar pattern that we're going to repeat over and over. And I'm just going to play the chord C major. We're going to accent every other 8th note. And here's our count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If we wanted to do this using the grid notation, it would look like this. So we're going to divide this into 8 pieces. This is beat 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we would check off each of them because they're all being played. But then I'll put the little accent sign above the ones that are being accented. So that's one way that we could do it. One more thing to note is accented notes are going to sound slightly louder than their non-accented counterparts. In all these examples, I'm going to overemphasize the accented notes so that you hear the difference between them and notes that are not accented. But in practice, they should only be slightly louder. All right, let's listen to the first example. We're going to quantize by 8 notes. And something to note down here in the editor window is that all the notes are different colors. Anything that's blue or green tends to be a more quiet note, and we can tell because of this velocity meter down here. 0 is silent, and 127 is max loudness. So something like a red one is going to be really loud. This is 115. It's almost at the loudest that it could possibly be. So we can just tell how loud we're playing certain notes based on the colors that they are. So we can see that this first chord is going to be soft. The second chord is loud, which is exactly what we have here. Soft, loud, because this is accented and this is not. All right, let's listen to this pattern again. This time I'm going to count along with it. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. So you can see how on the ands, they're much louder. Okay, let's do another pattern. Once again, we're in 4/4, and we're just going to play C major. But this time, I'm going to start with some rests. And we're going to have 8th notes again. 2 more rests, and a final 8th note. So the count is going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I'm not going to draw a grid notation this time, but let's play out this pattern. Now you can also notice that there's no accents. When notes come on the offbeat, like these ones, this one, and this one, we automatically feel like they're accented because usually notes that come on the beat are slightly more accented than the notes that don't come on the beat. It's just a natural thing to do. So this is going to feel very syncopated. Here's how it sounds. Okay, let's quantize that. So I'm going to count through. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Do you see how syncopation creates such interesting rhythms? I can almost guarantee your favorite songs and beats are chock full of syncopation. It's a trademark of almost every genre. Okay, now you might be saying, well, what's the big deal? I get it. It's not immediately apparent as to how syncopation can be helpful. But for now, just go along with it. Okay, we're going to get to a chord progression now. We're going to use the same chord progression that we used in the last video. And that was, we're in 4/4. We have C major, E minor, A minor, and F major. And they're all 4 beats long. Now for our first pattern, we're just going to use all 8th notes, and none of them are going to be syncopated. We're going to use the same rhythm for every single bar, so I'm not going to notate this, but I will write out the grid format or the grid pattern. I'm also going to make the grid pattern match up here. So this is beat 1 for the grid and for up here. And there we go, 3 and 4 and. All right, so here's what this pattern sounds like. Okay, let's quantize by 8th notes. And let's count through that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. Okay, for our first pattern with these chords, I'm going to syncopate some of the notes. So this first one we're going to give an accent to. The 4th one we're going to give an accent to. And the 6th one we're going to give an accent to. And I forgot to check these off from before. We'll check them off now. This one gets an accent, the 4th one gets an accent, and the 6th one gets an accent. Okay, so we can see how these match top and bottom. All right, let's play through this and see how it sounds. Let's quantize this by 8th notes. And let's count through this time. So we're expecting the loudest notes or the loudest chords to be on 1, on the and of 2, and on the and of 3. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The interesting part of this rhythm comes on the and of 2 and the and of 4. Anything that comes on the beat is not really that interesting. So this one right here is not really interesting. But this is a rhythm that's used in many different pop genres. Okay, let's create another rhythm. Now we're going to take the rhythm that we actually just used and we're going to change it up into how it would actually be usually used in real songs. Usually in songs, they don't fill up the entire bar with notes. They'll have rests and things like that. So this is what that rhythm would look like if we incorporated some rests. So we have 1, half, 2, half, 3, half, and then a whole rest a quarter rest for the last beat. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and this gets 4 and. Okay, this time I'm not going to write the grid notation. So this is what this sounds like this time. All right, let's count through that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right, that sounds pretty good. All right, let's do one more rhythm. So 4/4 again, C, E minor, A minor, and F. And this time our rhythm is going to be as follows. Nothing on 1, something on and, nothing on 2 and, nothing on 3, something on the and of 3, nothing on 4, and something on the and of 4. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. With the grid notation, it's going to look like this. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So nothing here, we check this off. Nothing on 2 and. Nothing on 3, we check off the and for 3. Nothing on 4, we check off this. All right, so let's play through this. Quantize, of course. Let's count through it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Change to A minor. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. In conclusion, you can hear syncopation in music every day without even knowing it. Listen to the rhythms that they use in your favorite songs, copy them, modify them, learn from them. There's nothing wrong with copying rhythm because you really can't copyright a rhythm. And people copy rhythms all the time. When you're creating your patterns, feel free to notate it first, or just feel it out if that's more your style. At the end of the day, it really only matters how it sounds. And notation is just there as a tool to help you create patterns that you may not naturally feel yourself.